Hi, party people. What's happening? So today I want to talk about talent banking. It's really been heavy on my mind. I've been talking with my team about it. Been talking to a lot of people about it, and it has to do with the foundations for long-term institutions, long-term societies, and the new world, long-term communities. So I'm going to start with one of my team members asked me last week, what do I mean when I say the new world? And for me, that was a jarring question because it was like, y'all know what that means? I've been saying it all this time, but I really commend his bravery for asking a question, because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, what do you mean when you talk about the new world? And people don't really feel comfortable asking. There's two things I want to say. My former co-founder, Uzumaka, was really instrumental in this idea of, defining the new world and giving me the language and the courage to even think about what we are doing at NOIR Labs as building the new world. And so for me to even say that comfortably now is like a growth. It's growth, because for a long time that was terrifying and intimidating. But yes, we are building the new world. And what does it mean to build the new world? What that means is, in Christian theology, in other spiritual systems, they talk about life after earth, or a reckoning, right? A moment in which everything changes, everything is brand new, everything is transformed. The way that things have been done before falls away. A new reality emerges, right? There's so many different traditions and different spiritual systems and belief systems that talk about a new earth, a new world. And when I met my co-founder, or when we started working together, I had already been defining NOIR Labs as a platform that was going to transform the world, that was going to create a world in which Blackness is celebrated and centered always. And so that it makes sense that that would be a new world, right? Because it would be very different from the world that we have known. So she came in with heavy, heavy metaphysics, heavy, intergalactic insights. And so for her, this idea of the new world was easy to talk about. It was very foundational. It was like, that's what we're doing. It's obvious that that's what we're doing. So I got comfortable with it over time. And I eventually sort of developed my own perspective on what it means to build a new world. Listen, the world that we're in is a shit show. I'm just going to keep it 1,000. And for us to aspire to something greater, we have to be willing to overthrow what is familiar. We have to be willing to say goodbye to what is familiar. We have to be willing to let this old way die. If we continue to hold on to this old way because it is familiar, because it is comfortable, we will continue to suffer the repercussions of white supremacist capitalism, racial terrorism, and all the things that come with that all over the world, all the suffering, all the genocide, all the starvation, all of the just unthinkable atrocities that human beings survive every day on this planet. It is literally unthinkable what so many humans suffer every day on this planet. And the foundations of that suffering, yes, there's suffering that would happen, naturally, that there's challenges that we would have naturally as human beings. But we have to recognize that the kind of suffering that white supremacist delusion, the white pathology, that racial terrorism drives in the world is unprecedented. It's incomparable to anything else that has ever existed. And so when we talk about ending racism, when we talk about ending genocide, when we talk about ending racial terror, we have to think about it in a way of creating something different, starting from the foundations of the evil, starting at the root, uprooting the violence and the sickness and the pathology that has created the kind of reality that we are existing in. And we have to be, if we're going to uproot it, we have to be replacing it with something better, something divine, something elevating, something transformative, something totally liberating. When I was 7 years old, my mother took me to watch Malcolm X. And since then, I met my brother and I to watch Malcolm X. And since then, I've been transformed, I've been transfixed. I worship that man. I think that he is an angel. I love everything that he stood for. I respect his memory so much. His sacrifices mean so much to me, and his boldness to stand up tall and proud and speak like fiery truth, bold, transformational truth to power. Things that most of us would be terrified to say. He said over and over again on camera, in front of white people and in front of Black people who needed to hear these uncomfortable truths. And so being exposed to Malcolm X, having read his autobiography, that is the thing that radicalized me from the beginning. And so many other philosophers, so many other revolutionaries, so many other transformative beings that have existed that I've read their stories, I was thoroughly inspired, deeply inspired by them. And so this urge to help to build the new world, this urge to see our people liberated really comes from that seed, comes from that root, and comes from that recognition that, oh my God, we are glorious. Oh my God, we are genius. Oh my God, we are everything. Everybody's looking to be like us. Everybody's looking to us to figure out what's next and what to do. And so this idea of building a new world that centers and celebrates Blackness, it is also a pathway to liberate all people, all humans, from the pathology of whiteness on this planet. And so in order to do that, there's so many pieces, there's so many parts to what it takes to build a new world. Philosophy is foundational. Culture, right? Culture is based on philosophy, beliefs, what we observe, the meaning we give to what we observe in our reality, right? That is what the foundation of culture is. That is where philosophy comes from. And so if we're thinking about building a new world in which Blackness is centered and celebrated, that means Black philosophy is centered and celebrating. What does Black philosophy even mean? What does it mean to be Black? We are such a variegated people all over the planet. So for us to talk about philosophy as Black or anything as Black, it may sound limiting, but the idea from our perspective is to be able to cultivate space in which all forms of Blackness can coexist. The holiest, the purest, the holiest forms, the forms that are rooted in love, divine love and favor and appreciation and affection for what is Black, what is melanin, what is African, what is indigenous to this planet. So when we start from that place of recognizing the tremendous, the infinite, the uncountable beauty of what it is to be Black, to be African, to be descendant of the original people of this planet, that in itself, if we're rooting our reality in that belief and in that truth, that in itself requires a new way of being. It is a new philosophy. It is the foundation of a new world, a new reality. And if we are basing this new reality on African indigenous genius and African philosophy, then we're starting with Ubuntu, right? We're starting with this idea that I am because you are. It's not to say that the European pathology of I must take from you to exist, which is what whiteness teaches and programs into all of us. The idea that we must be in competition, we must harm each other, we must take from each other in order for us to thrive or succeed. I hope I'm looking at the right place because my eyes, I don't know. I'm looking at the camera on the phone, I'm looking at myself. We'll figure it out. If I gotta turn it to audio, we'll do that too. But ultimately, if we're talking about a new reality in which Blackness is centered, Black philosophy is centered, Black genius is centered, that is Ubuntu. That is the universal philosophy that we see across the board when we're looking at African indigenous people of the planet, on the African continent, from the African continent, in the North American continent, on the Asian continent, anywhere you go and you look at original belief systems of the people who were indigenous to that land, you will find some form of Ubuntu. You will find some form of a philosophy that says, I am because you are. We are all connected. I cannot exist without you. You cannot exist without me. Harming you is harming me. Harming the land that we both eat from is harming both of us. I cannot take from the planet. I cannot take from the land without replenishing, because that depletes our life force, our ability to live, our capacity to live. So you have to understand that African philosophy and African indigenous understanding is in contrast to what we live globally right now. I'm speaking to you in English from New Haven, Connecticut. Why is the whole planet speaking English? That tiny little country. Does that make sense to you? That's colonization. That's violence. That's genocide. It's blood, sweat, and tears. Is by the gun. It's by the machete. It's by the every violent instrument you can think of. That is how I'm speaking English to you right now. That's how you speaking English to me. That's how you speaking English to whoever you speak English to. That's why we got the Olympics and they speak in English at the Olympics, even in France, right? It's colonization. We have had this English thinking and philosophy embedded in our psychology, in our subconscious, in our psychic identities, because every language comes with its philosophy. Like I said, the basis of a society, the basis of a culture, the basis of a people is its beliefs, right? And those beliefs are embedded in the language of those people, right? So the New World, as my former co-founder described it, it's the opposite of this, right? It operates based on the laws of Ma'at, right? And I am not even remotely as familiar with Kemetic philosophy and Kemetic beliefs as some of the people in my community. So I encourage you to look that up and I will continue to research it. But ultimately, Ma'at is about balance. It's about love. It's about fairness. It's about communion. And when we talk about communion, we're talking about our divine communion as human beings, recognizing the divinity that is all, that we are divinity as individuals, and that our environment, everything around us is divinity. Everything is an expression of that ultimate divine source seeking to experience itself as every form of matter in this third dimension, right? And so that comes back to Ubuntu. Ubuntu says everything is one. There is no separation. I've been doing these sacred medicine lives on my on the NOIR Price Instagram. We did 10 days. We stopped last weekend, right? In those conversations, we talked about Buddhist philosophy, which says the same thing. All is one. There is no separation. Separation is an illusion. It's an illusion fostered and driven and cultivated by white supremacist delusion. I don't even like to call it white supremacist or white supremacy, because there is no white supremacy. It's not a real thing. There is no supremacy. They're not supreme. Okay. I prefer to call it white pathology. But ultimately, when we're talking about building a new world, we're talking about building something that is in complete contrast to that pathology that we have all been made sick with, that we have all been programmed with all over the globe, which is why a new world is necessary. A new way of being is necessary. A new way of thinking and understanding humanity and our planet is essential. So the way she described the new world, she talked about, and I'll probably share the quotes in our newsletter. I'm going to send this out with our newsletter. She talked about how in this reality, we live to work and survive, right? Unless you are, you've crossed over to the other side where you are living in abundance and you don't have to work to survive. Most people, the vast majority of people, 99% of people are working to survive, working to put a roof over their heads, working to put food on their table, on their plate, working to wait, are we recording on Zoom? I'll have to fix that. Yes, we're gonna. Yeah, because I don't know what the YouTube is looking like. So, so she talked about how, yes, in this reality, we're focused on working to survive and put food on our tables, roofs over our heads. In a new world that is based on balance and love and abundance, right? Because capitalism drives us to believe that there's lack. The basis of the capitalist system is the idea of lack, right? If you're living in caves and you don't have much growing around you in your environment, you're going to understand lack. You're going to see life through the lens of lack. But if you are living in a Garden of Eden where fruits and vegetables and everything is just like blossoming all around you, and all you have to do is just walk outside and pick up a meal, the idea of lack does not even enter your consciousness. It's what is lack? How is that a thing, right? But in the European context, lack is the basis of their identity and their understanding of the world. So In the new world, we are operating off of the laws of abundance. We are operating off the understanding that there is enough. There is enough. There is enough. There is enough. And there will always be enough for all of us, Ashe. That is what it means to live in the new world. How do we know that there is enough? Well, if we say that we are all divine expressions of the all that is, all of the infinite divinity, if the divine is not separate from any of us, how can the creator of the universe be in lack? If we are all aspects of the creator, how can lack exist? It's a manufactured idea. So in the new world, we operate from this understanding that there's enough. And the materialization of that, the manifestation of that idea of abundance is in each of us, because when we say that the divine has expressed themselves uniquely through each of us, that means the beauty, the health, the talent, the gifts, the genius that each of us comes here with. That is the proof of divinity. Each of us manifests into this world with something that nobody else has. Some combination, some constellation of gifts, of beauty, of wonder, of magic that no one else has. Each of us is uniquely, divinely expressed from that creator source. And one of the key ways that we can know our uniqueness and our divinity is through our gifts. It's through the things that we do so beautifully, so joyfully, so effortlessly, that we are in that divine flow and in that divine joy and in that divine love when we're doing those things. We are channeling that divine energy, that divinity, its energy, its purity. We are channeling that and sharing that with the next person. That is what it means to exchange currency. We are channeling that divinity within us and we are giving it to the next person. You understand? So when we're able to tap into that genius, tap into that love force that is within us, that is an expression of the divine, then we are operating in our highest divinity. We are channeling a current of value. We are channeling a current of value. We are channeling a current of value. So when we channel a current of value, right, because we are expressing a gift, a talent, something that materializes something that did not exist before, whether you could sing, you could dance, you could write, you could build technology. I do all the things I can supposed to, right? You could perform surgery, right? Maybe some people just they're born with steady hands and they're just able to just, I had a friend at Yale who said surgery was like art, performing surgery was like art for her, right? And for her, it was magic, it was medicine. She was lit up by the experience of being a medical doctor. Each of us has those things that light us up, that activate the divine source within us, that access the divine source within us. So many things. For me, it's really music, it's writing, it's dance, it's all the things. But I think music is like highest on the list right now. Technology is a big one too. I love building dope things, building dope shit. So each of us comes here, you have something in you that lights you up, that fires you up, that makes you feel alive when you do it, like nothing else. What is that thing? What is that thing that you do that activates every cell in your body, that makes you forget about your phone, that makes you don't even care who's texting you or what's happening on Instagram, because you're so in the zone. You're so in heaven. You're just in awe of the divinity being channeled through you. What is that gift? That is your currency. That is your gift to the world. That is your value. It may be multiple things, but when you are in that zone, in that energy field, you are channeling value to the world. And that's why we call it currency, right? That current of value. So if our highest divine expression, our highest expression of divinity in our physical human expression, our physical human reality, is to express our gifts and our talents, then the way that we interact the highest interactions that we can have as humans will be based on that exchange of currency, that exchange of value. When we come together as humans, your gifts might be your smile, your ability to make people feel at ease, your ability to make people feel good, your ability to make people laugh, your ability to put together an amazing meal that warms the soul and the belly. Whatever your gift is, when you're sharing that with others, that is what it means for you to be in communion with your family, with your community. You expressing your gifts. It allows for the highest form of communion. Okay, so imagine now you're in a family, you're in a community, and we are all expressing our gifts to each other. Have you been in a community like that before? Is that something you've experienced? Because I would love to know, right? Imagine all of us expressing our divine infinity through that channeling of gifts. And it's just a continual, my battery is low and my charger is far, I think. It's a continual current, right? I express my value to you, you express your value to me, and the next person expresses their value, and it's constantly going, right? But this now we're talking about exchange, right? So now I want to talk about talent banking. This is why this came up, because I was talking to my team last week when he asked me about what it means to what I mean by the new world. I explained to them about talent banking. Excuse me, let me charge my phone so we can get through this without worrying about anything. All right, so he was asking me about the new world, and I was telling him about talent banking. So I just talked about us exchanging the currency of value, the divine talent that resides within that channels through each of us, really. So if the basis of our interaction as humans is our ability to channel our divine gifts and share them with each other. And I know at a certain age, we're talking about skills, right? A baby is not necessarily writing or singing, right? To transform a life, but they are showing up in a certain energy, and they're giving that certain energy and that love. But we're talking about building societies. And so when we get to an age where we can contribute to the family, to the community, to the town, to the city, to the world, we're contributing something of value from our gifts and our talents. In the Western world, the teaching is that there are certain responsibilities, there are certain tasks, there are certain types of work that have value for that 1%, right? The people who have the abundant resources to pay for those skill sets. So they get to define what skill sets have value, as opposed to this idea that everybody's gifts are inborn. Everyone has inborn valuable gifts that it can share and that we can cultivate within them and ensure the continual flow across communities of those gifts. Western capitalism says, no, we only need certain skills. Everything else can go to shit, right? So again, Ubuntu, I am because you are. We are all one in the universe, and we are a constant flow of exchanging value, currency of divine energy, holy energy, pure energy, love energy. So when we do this, when we operate like this, and these laws of Ma'at and these laws of abundance, because again, if everybody has something to share, if everybody has a gift, then there is no lack, right? If we're operating on this idea of exchanging our value through gifts, through our holy divine energy, then there is no lack, because every human that comes here will have something to offer, right? If we believe that, if we operate from a belief that every human has something valuable and divine to offer to the collective, then we don't see anybody as expendable. What's the word? I know expendable is the word. We don't see anybody as discardable. There's another word that is not coming through, right? We can't look at any human and say, oh, your life is not worthwhile. Because we don't need you, right? In capitalism, you can say that because you're like, oh, I only need people who can mine and who can build computers and who can be doctors. Anything else can go to shit. That's what capitalism says. But Ubuntu says, We need everybody. We're all one. We can't let anybody be harmed or fall away. We have to take care of the collective, because the collective is what strengthens us. The collective is what gives us strength. The collective is what gives us our fire, our power. So we don't throw away anybody because we don't see the value in what they offer, because we know somebody will need that gift. Somebody will need that energy. So our job is to cultivate the energy and the talent and the gift in every single human being in the Ubuntu ideal. So again, we're channeling this currency, we're exchanging with each other. This is the basis of our family and our community. We're taking care of each other by sharing our gifts. We're sharing divine holy energy. We have exchange. We have the ability to exchange from that place of divine talent and gifts. Now, when we have the ability to exchange, either from a core unit of a family, right? Family members doing certain chores and taking care of certain tasks and responsibilities for each other within the unit, and or family members exchanging with other families who are part of their larger collective. That community of families now exchanging with another community of families that may live further away or have a different set of, rituals, practices, right? These are the foundations of societies. Exchange, philosophy, culture, exchange, right? Because you need resources, you need food, you need clothes, you need goats, you need transportation. And even if you live in an abundant land where your meals are falling off of trees, there'll be things that you need that somebody might have. Somebody's might have to prepare that food. And so I'm talking about this from a perspective of like the origins of humanity and the most basic, unit of a community being a family. But when we bring it into the present, we recognize clearly that there are so many different types of gifts and skills that we need in order to maintain a society, right? And so if you take it from that original seed of the first humans and the first families, and then the first communities and the first towns, the first cities, the first countries, etc., and then you extrapolate that and come to this present moment where we have 8 billion people on the planet and 7 continents and how many countries, right? And then you can easily see all the opportunities for exchange that could have been rooted in that original family structure, that original community structure, that have, at the macro level, expanded to be infinite possibilities for exchanging of talent, right? And when I say talent banking, let me just land with that. Talent banking basically is a way of describing this same fundamental understanding that in order for humans to build non-capitalist societies, right? In order for humans to build a new world, which is not based on exploitation and extraction, but is based on honor and holiness and kindness and gratitude and value for each human, then we want to exchange the value that each human has. We want to first understand the value that each human offers to the collective. What is your value? What is your gift? What did you come here to offer us? Are you a storyteller? Are you a narrator? Are you a dancer? Will you entertain us? Will you make us feel amazing in our bodies? Are you a healer? What parts of the body do you heal? Are you a technologist? Are you a nurturer? Are you a builder? Are you a protector? Are you a destroyer? That's needed sometimes too, right? What did you come here naturally gifted to do and to offer to the collective? When you're building a society, a family, a city, a world, the people are the basis of your economy. The people are the basis of your system. The people determine what you are able to develop, create, and experience in your society, in your family, in your reality. The people. It's not the animals are valuable, but when we're talking about a human society, it's about the people. So who are the people? What is the divine nature of each person in this collective? What do they have to offer? What genius did they come here to share with us? What is the divinity channeling through them? That is how we come to understand the banking, the economics of it. Because when we know that, okay, I have a family of 10, we're starting the new world with this family of 10, we have a writer, we have a dancer, we have a technologist, we have somebody who understands crystals, is a crystal whisperer and can build technology with crystals. We have somebody who knows how to heal hearts or lay hands. We have somebody who knows how to till the ground and grow food. We have somebody who knows how to pray and channel the power of the divine infinitely to materialize reality, right? When we recognize that the value that we have inherent in our community, then we recognize that we have a treasure chest, a bank, right? Because those skills, those gifts, that divine currency can now be leveraged and shared in exchange for benefits, right? So I need help writing something. You need help getting your hair done. You write for me, I do your hair, right? I need a goat. You have a goat. You're good at raising goats, cattle, etc. I'm good at raising chickens and producing eggs. You give me one goat, I give you 20 eggs, whatever it is that we decide, right? We now are able to define what it is that each of us can give and how those givings and those receivings, those exchanges can help us to determine what value we can create. So the more we exchange value, the more we exchange gifts and talents, the more we're able to generate value, because now we're going to see that there will be surplus at some point. There will be something that can be traded with the next person and the next person and the next person and the next community and the next community and the next country and so on and so forth. Right? So this is a real, it's a recent download over the last, it's something I've been thinking about for years. I think like at least a couple years. But I'm just starting to articulate what it means to my team and to others. And so I'm making this video so that I can share. If Spirit has given you the download around talent banking, please share your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think about what I'm saying and what your downloads are. But so basically the idea that I'm getting at is that if we're building a new world, our foundation cannot be exploitation. It must be talent banking. I believe that talent banking is the foundation of the new world. It's the foundation of economic exchange in the new world, right? Because now we are placing tremendous value on each human, and we are defining currency and trade on the basis of the gifts of each human in the collective. And in that way, everybody has value. Everybody has something to offer. For everyone, there is a reason why they are there. Now, it's not a perfect system. I'm sure there are flaws that we can identify and talk about, and that's another video. I can come back to that. I'm sure there, as with any system, there's opportunity for improvement. But when we now understand that each human has value, we can define what that value means to the collective according to how much demand there is and how much need there is. So if you're a writer and there's 100 of us that need some kind of a writing benefit, some kind of, a application of your writing skill, and there's only like 10 people who need eggs, right? I'm a great cultivator of chickens and eggs, but there's only 10 people who need it. Now, that encourages me to, one, find other markets if I need to, right? Or share more of my gifts there, because it's not just one gift that we all have, right? So now maybe I need to tap into another element of my divinity where I'm really gifted and sew dresses in addition to cultivating eggs. You understand what I'm saying? So in a talent banking system, you're able to capture, you have the data on what each person can offer to the collective. And over time, you are able to capture and understand how much value that specific collective places on that skill, that gift, that talent. from this understanding, you can now cultivate additional gifts in people, additional skills in people, and or you can find other markets to exchange with. So you go from your immediate family and community to exchange with another family and community who may have a lot of people who need eggs, more people in your community, more people who need eggs than the number in your community, for instance. You might find that there's a higher demand for musical talent in this other community. So you now share those, that you have the people in your community who have those musical gifts and they share them, right? But when you cannot really build on your banking system without this understanding of what people have to offer and how much value there is for the immediate collective and the extended collective. I hope you're able to follow what I'm saying. But this is ultimately the basis. So ultimately what I'm saying is that when we're building a new world, we're building new societies, we're building new systems, we really have to think about new ways to define currency and exchange that are not rooted in capitalist exploitation and extraction and violence. Because once you have to take to survive, you have to hurt people, because everybody's not gonna let you just take their stuff, right? But if you want to live in a new world where there's harmony and there's love and there's balance, then we're focused on the ability to always tap into some gift and some value that we can cultivate and share with each other as a community and as a world. So I hope that is enough on talent banking. Now I want to talk about building 1,000-year institutions, right? So now when you're able to have that sort of basis and foundation for your community, organization, institution, because I talk about this in terms of the new world, but this is something you can very much apply to your business, to your nonprofit, to your church, your temple, okay? Any place where you have a community of people, this is information that you want. You want to know what gifts are present, what talents, what currency can be exchanged based on divine talent, right? You're building these institutions. I talked about culture and philosophy, right? So this is coming from like me helping Sangha House NOLA to really build their foundations, right? Our foundation. I'm a member of this community. This is my family. And so I have offered my skills and my gifts and my talents. One of my gifts is operationalizing, things. I'm a technologist. I'm looking at how do we connect the dots? How do we harness and leverage all that we have to accelerate our journey to our North Star, right? How do we draw a roadmap? How do we use that ability to connect the right dots to the other right dots in order to find shortcuts and routes to a North Star that we wouldn't have otherwise seen? So my mind just works like that. I'm looking for the connections. I'm looking for the opportunities for leverage. I'm looking for the shortcuts. How do we accelerate our journey? How do we cut the fat and keep the meat? How do we minimize excess? How can we be efficient with our time and with our money, our other resources? How can we ensure that everybody who's contributing to this collective is able to do so from a place of abundance, right? They're able to show up as their highest self. They're able to give of their highest talents and still walk away with enough energy to thrive in all the other things that they do and they want to thrive in, right? So when you're building an organization, you're building an institution, you want to start with first, who are we? Why do we exist? What do we care about? What are our values? What are our deal breakers? What are the things that we want to uphold in the world? And what are the things that we don't want to touch, we don't want to experience, we don't want near us? And so you start by defining your values, what you care about, right? And it's easy to tie that type of value into like the exchange, the currency, the gift, the talent banking, right? The gift currency. But when you understand what's important to you, if you're founding a community, you're founding a society, you're founding a country, a world, you have to first lead with what is important to you and what is important to the people who are doing this with you. And when you define and articulate these values, you're able to go from there to talk about the vision, what you seek to create. Maybe you start with a vision, maybe you start with values, but ultimately you have to be able to articulate the vision. What is the end game? Where are we going? What is our destination? What is it that we are seeking to experience and materialize long-term, 100 years from now, and day to day from right now? What are we seeking to experience? What is the goal of our coming together? What is the goal of our creating this new world? What is it that we want to experience in doing so? That is where vision comes in. And then how will we do this is where mission comes in. What is it that we actually do? What actions do we take to materialize this vision? All right. These are the most basic foundations of any organization that can last beyond a week, a month, a year, a decade, right? You need to know these things, and everybody who walks in the doors to contribute labor and talent and gifts and resources to materializing this vision, they need to know these things. They need to understand these things, your values, your vision, your mission, your how, your why, right? They need to hear these things regularly enough that it becomes part and parcel of how they identify with your organization, with your community, with your country, with your world, right? And so when you're able to do that and you're able to articulate these things and continually reinforce these ideals in your community, it builds such a strength. It builds such a strength in your community. It builds such a fortitude. It builds such a loyalty. It builds such a consistency when you're able to filter in, one, which is a whole other topic I want to talk about another day, filtering in to make sure that the people who are here with you really do align with your values and your vision and your mission. When you're able to articulate those things, then the people who are not aligned will fall away and they will go look for another group that matches their values and their vision, their mission in life, right? Which that's okay, right? But when you have clarity on your values, vision, mission, how, why, then it magnetizes the right people to you who share those same values, who share those same dreams, that same vision. When I talk about Sangha House NOLA and how, you know, the Venerable Claire Grace Dayananda, who's the chief founder, partnered up with Brother Ray Moku, who is almost like a co-founder. I don't know if that's a formal thing yet, but, you know, he's been part and parcel of the building of this from the root. And they both had written down similar visions before they ever met each other for a Black Buddhist temple, right? And so they were magnetized to each other because they were in the same vibration of love and Buddhism, right? And bringing the Dharma to Black people. And so when you get crystal clear on your values, your vision, your mission, you magnetize people towards you. Again, it's getting clear on and landing on your vibration that you need to be on. So building 1,000-year institution is about having these types of like impenetrable foundations and not just defining them once, but revisiting them constantly, making them part and parcel the foundation of everything that you do, every meeting that you have, every project that you undertake, revisiting your values and your mission and your why, in order to be clear that, okay, this that we're doing aligns with our original identity and our original vision, right? This has gone on long. I want to wrap it up. Is there just a few things I want to say in terms of building long-term institutions? So those foundational principles, and then order, structure, design. We want to design organizations that we've talked about centering humans, centering human needs, centering human talent. We have to think about how you systematize that, right? You can't just say that you're going to share your values and your vision and your mission. You can't just say that you're going to take care of the humans. You have to systematize it. You have to operationalize it. It has to be part of your ritual design, your system design. What actions do you actually take every day, every week, every month as a community, as the leadership of that community, and as the lay members of that community? What are the actual actions that you are responsible for taking as a collective? And now you can take the same idea and parallel it with a new world, a new earth, a family, a new community. What are our actions? What are our responsibilities? We got to fetch the water. We got to, till the land. We got to catch the rainwater. What are we doing? Right? We got to sit for meditation. We got to organize the cushions. We got to clean the temple. We got to cook the food for the members. What are we doing? What actions are we taking? And how can we ensure that those actions are happening according to ritual, according to the right time, and in the right place, and being done by the right people, according to, hello, again, their gifts, their natural talents, their divine currency. Okay? Here are the operations of this community, this family, this world, this temple, this organization. And here are the people who are going to take those particular actions. And here's when they're going to take those actions. And all of this is being designed based on the optimal time for those actions to be taken and the optimal talents needed for those actions to be delivered. Right? So we're systematizing it. So there's so much more I can go into in terms of what I call human guides. We do human guides at NOIR Labs. Everybody that comes in, we filter in. You complete a human guide. If you want to work for us, we don't have a conversation until you've completed the human guide. You've articulated your values, you've articulated your vision for yourself, your goal, where you're going, and why you feel magnetized to us, why you're interested in working with us, what it is about us that you align with, right? That's just the first step. And then there's something with leadership that we call a team contract, which I do with people who are operating on a level as like co-founder with me, investor, right? That type of person. We do a team contract, a team Bible, where we are agreeing on our goals. We're agreeing on how we're going to work together. We are agreeing on our responsibilities. We're clarifying these things, right? That's very important, I would say, for the co-founders and anybody who is going to be actively involved in your enterprise, either as a board member, as an investor, as a funder, who's going to have decision-making power within your organization, your enterprise, your community, right? From there, when I talk about systems design, I talk a lot about agile, right? And using agile systems to operationalize your activities, right? So first defining what your activities are meant to be, and then defining how often they need to happen. So that is basically your system, right? Okay, this is what we do, this is when we do it. But in order for that to happen, you have to have the people in there. So you want to understand the people as a part of the human guide process to understand their gifts and talents, their skills. What are they best at? What are their superpowers? You want to understand, for anybody who's working for you, who's in your organization, you want to understand their superpowers. Now I feel like I've been looking at the wrong place. I don't know. This is something. You want to understand their superpowers. The people who work for you, you want to understand what it is that they're better at than anybody else. Right? And you want to be able to leverage them and activate them and utilize them, have the organization utilize them in that way, because that's how they want to be utilized. That's where they're going to be happy. That's where they're going to be most fulfilled. And that's where they're going to tap into the most energy. That's where it's going to be hard for them to get tired quickly because there's so much joy in doing that activity for them, right? So, Lord, I'm eager to know what this looks like. I'm about to grab my other phone. Let's see if I can find out if it's on. It's on YouTube right now. We're gonna edit it out. Yeah. So wow, it's been like longer probably than any of my BBT videos. And I'm gonna wrap this up. So using Agile, I can go more in detail in the future and how you actually organize your work using Agile methodology. But that's the basis. You need to basically design a system that centers the joy and the well-being and the high energy of the people who contribute to your economy, to your system, your community, your platform. All right, we're about to see how it's looking. Okay, it's not upside down, so that's great. And how long has this been? I can't tell because it's live still. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. If you have questions about building your organization, building your community, building the new world, feel free to get at me. I can be reached, we can be reached at team@noirlabs.org. You can go to noirlabs.space in order to learn more about our corporate offerings. We provide strategic storytelling, this idea of understanding your vision, mission, these statements, and also articulating where you're going. This is part of the storytelling process, but we also help organizations to tell a story that really identifies their magic and their gifts and their sweet spot, their genius, and how they can position that genius to magnetize the people, the institutions, the organizations that need that genius, want to tap into that genius, want to leverage that genius for more benefit, for more opportunities, for more revenue, right? So strategic storytelling, and then software development. So technology strategy, technology consulting, and software development. So I'm one of the most intelligent, strategic technologies that you will come across. I'm just gonna say it like that. I know a lot about technology. I understand. I think in technology. I think in the language of technology. And so when it comes to designing technological systems or even designing operational systems, I'm thinking like a technologist and I'm helping you to understand. I talk about shortcuts, but when I say shortcut, it's not to eliminate the essential, it's to find the fastest path, the healthiest path, the most fruitful path to the end goal because efficiency, right? Because we want effortlessness, we want ease, we want flow, right? And technology, thinking technologically allows room for flow because it's connecting the critical dots on the path to your destination, right? Wait, I wanted to see what my eyes were looking like. Okay. Thank you for watching. This has been fun. I appreciate your grace and patience. And if you have questions, thoughts, comments, I'd love to hear them. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, and also New World Haven. Okay, more about New World Haven is coming up pretty soon. You'll be able to go to newworldhaven.com in order to support the project, be part of the project, be a partner, be a storyteller with us, help us with our research for the narrative and promoting New Haven and the vision of New Haven and all the things. So you can email us at nwhv, New World Haven, at noirlabs.org if you would like to be a partner or part of the project in any way. You can also go to portalx.space/new. If you just put in new, it'll take you to the New World Haven intro page. All right. I love y'all. Thank you for watching. It's been a blessing. And we'll talk soon. Peace. Now you gotta know how to end the live stream. Okay.